Perks are the most important thing in Dead by Daylight. They are quite literally game-changing, so it's important to know which survivor you should level first. With around 40 survivors, it can be incredibly difficult to know which one would give the most value. In today's video, I will show you the 10 survivors that I would personally prestige to get their perks. Let's get into it. Quick side note, this list will be non-licensed characters, meaning they will be either characters you get just for buying Dead by Daylight or characters you get through Iridescent Shard, which is DBD's in-game currency you get just for playing. Also, once you prestige a character, their perks will be given to all other survivors at tier 1. This means you could find them in any survivor bloodweb and upgrade them to tier 3. Or you can get that character to prestige 3 and their perks will be given to all other survivors at T3. So what you should do is get the survivors you want the perks on to prestige 3. At number 10, we have Zarina. Zarina is in the top 10 purely for Off the Record. Off the Record is a perk that gives you 80-second endurance and no grunts of pain after being unhooked by any means. This is one of the strongest anti-tunnel perks. For the People is a perk that allows you to instantly heal one health state of a teammate, but you become broken. For the People is situationally a good perk, especially if paired with other perks, but for the sake of this video, we're going based on its own merit, and it doesn't get a lot of value by itself. So although it's a really good perk, it's not good to have alone, and I wouldn't put it in many builds. Her last perk, Red Herring, is okay, but it's really just a meme perk. Red Herring is where if you worked on a gen for 3 seconds or longer, then hop in a locker, it'll give a noise indicator for the killer. This will normally make the killer check the gen that just made the noise thinking a survivor's working on it, and there won't be anybody there. Honestly, this perk can see value, but will not get a ton, so I don't recommend using it unless paired with other perks. Number 9 would be Yui. Yui has one super strong perk, and that is Lucky Break. Lucky Break is whenever you get injured, you don't leave scratch marks or blood on the ground. This is insanely strong on its own, especially for getting away from killers or just hiding in the area. Not only is this perk strong alone, but it can be paired with other perks and make an insane build. But based on its own merit, it's still very strong. Any Means Necessary is also a pretty strong perk. This perk will allow you to see all dropped pallets on the map that haven't been broken and will allow you to pick them back up. This is strong because not only does it give you the information, but it also allows you to reset super strong pallets. And you'd be surprised how many killers leave them up. Breakout is a perk that can be strong, but it's situational. In certain builds, it could be insane, but on its own, it doesn't offer a ton of value. It for sure can see value depending on how bold you are as a survivor, but for newer players, I would not put this in my build. Number 8 would be Felix. Desperate Measures is Felix's strongest perk. This perk gives you 14% increased healing speed for each injured, hooked, or dying survivor. This will help you bring back games that seem super doomed. It is so good on its own, and it's insane when paired with other healing perks. Visionary can be useful, especially for newer players. This perk will show you generator auras within 32 meters, so if you have a hard time finding gens, this perk has a lot of value. Especially on maps where it's a little bit harder to find gens, this perk will help out a lot of people and will get value almost every game. Built to Last is Felix's last perk, and it's situationally strong. This perk allows you to refill charges of any empty item by just getting in a locker. This perk will see value for you and your team if brought in the game. If you or your team rely on items or want to extend their value, this perk is going to be super good on its own. Number 7 is Claudette. Empathy is a super solid perk. This perk reveals the auras of every injured or dying ally within a 128 meter range. This will allow you to find your teammates and heal them without having to play the Where's Waldo game with them. Any information perk is good considering information is incredibly strong, especially in solo queue. Her second perk, Botany Knowledge, is the reason Claudette is so high on this list. This is one of the best healing perks in the game. This perk increases healing speed by 50%, but reduces medkit healing efficiency by 20%. This perk on its own can be incredibly valuable, just don't use it with a medkit. On top of that, this perk paired with other healing perks is absolutely nuts. But just on its own, when healing other people, the 50% increased speed is absolutely insane. Her last perk, Self-Care, will not see a lot of value and will end up wasting more time than it does being helpful. I personally would not recommend using this perk. Number 6 is Jeff. 2 out of the 3 perks Jeff has are incredibly strong. The first super strong perk is called Distortion. This perk gives you 3 tokens. If the killer has an aura reading perk, it'll consume a token, making it so the killer won't see you. You could also regain tokens throughout the game. With the influx of aura reading perks on most killers, this perk is absolutely nuts. This perk gets a ton of value solo and doesn't require any build synergy. This will help you prevent getting in chases when you're in a not so good area. The second super strong perk is Breakdown. This perk makes it so when you are removed from the hook by any means, the killer's aura is shown to you and the hook breaks. This hook is down for 180 seconds. That is disabling a hook for such a long time. This can put killers in an incredibly tough spot depending on where the hook is located. It also gives you a ton of information. His last perk, Aftercare, is pretty good too. This perk makes it to where you can see other survivors' auras. If they rescue you, you rescue them. If they heal you, or you heal them. This gets reset by being hooked. This perk can see some value on its own, but it's not anywhere near as good as the other two in my opinion, so I would not put it in my build. Number 5 would be Jake. Two of Jake's perks are incredibly strong and will see value every single game. The first one is Iron Will. Iron Will makes it so when you are injured, your grunts of pain are reduced by 75%. This is good for two reasons. Some of the survivors are super loud, and this makes them a lot quieter, more bearable to play. This also helps with killers not being able to find you, so it's good for in-game and out. His second super strong perk is Calm Spirit. This perk will make it so you won't scream. This perk is insanely strong against Doctor or perks like Infectious, because when they try to make you scream, you won't make any noise, and when you take a hit, you won't make any noise. So if you're trying to prevent getting in chases and you just want to do gens and kind of stay away from the killer, Calm Spirit is such a strong perk. I would highly recommend running this perk for new players. His third perk is Saboteur. This perk is situationally useful. It'll get value in certain builds, but on its own, it struggles to get value unless you are super good at being in the right place at the right time and you're really bold. Number 4 is Feng Min. All three of Feng Min's perks are really strong, especially for new players. Lithe is probably her strongest perk. This perk makes it to where when you vault by any means, you get 150% movement speed increase. This will allow you to get a ton of distance from the killer and also has very little consequence when used poorly. Her second perk, Alert, is super strong for new players because it gives information every time the killer performs a break action. This will happen so often throughout the game, so you have a lot of information on where the killer is and where to stay away from. Technician is really strong for new players also. This perk makes it so your repair noises are reduced by 8 meters, and if you miss a skill check, the generator will not explode. Since new players struggle with skill checks, this will allow them to not get caught or bring the killer to their teammates if a skill check is missed. It does regress a little bit more than normal, but at the very least, you're not killing your entire team by missing a skill check. Number 3 would be Kate Denson. Her first perk, Windows of Opportunity, is one of the strongest perks in the game. This perk offers unlimited information. What it does is it shows you the auras of pallets, breakable walls, and vaults within a 32-meter range. This will show you where the next loop is, allowing you to chain loop and take a lot of the killer's time. You can also see what pallets are used already, so it prevents you from going in dead zones. This perk will get a lot of value every game, and it could fit in every build. It doesn't require any type of synergy. Dance to Me is an incredibly strong perk as well. This perk is when fast vaulting or leaving a locker, you leave no scratch marks for 3 seconds. This perk, similar to Windows, will get a lot of value on its own. Scratch marks are the primary way for the killer to be able to track you, and after a vault, it'll be hard for them to keep up with you if you run tiles correctly. Boil Over is one of the most annoying perks in the game, but it's still very strong. This perk makes it to where when you get picked up off the ground, your struggle effects are increased by 80% and the killer can't see hooks near them. This perk will make it difficult for the killer to hook you, and you will get value every game on its own. It doesn't need synergy, but when it has synergy, it's one of the most insane perks. Number 2 is Meg. All three of Meg perks are amazing. Adrenaline is probably one of the most used perks in the game, and it's for a good reason. Adrenaline is when the exit gates are powered, you get a 150% movement speed boost and gain a full health state. If you make it to endgame, this perk will get value. The amount of times I've seen this perk save someone in my game is absolutely insane. Sprint Burst is one of the strongest exhaustion perks in the game, but a little hard to use. This perk is whenever you start running, you get 150% movement speed. The skill of this perk is being able to 99 it, but overall there isn't much counterplay for the killer, and it will allow you to make distance every single time. But be careful accidentally holding shift, because once you waste your sprint burst, you're exhausted for 40 seconds. Her last perk, Quick and Quiet, is insanely strong in situational builds, but on its own it can be good too. When vaulting or jumping into a locker, you make 0 noise. This can be good for quick little jukes around windows or even using a locker. In certain loadouts, Quick and Quiet is insane and almost necessary. Last but not least, number 1 is my boy Dwight. And no, I'm not biased. Dwight gets number 1 because he comes with the game and is easily one of the best characters. All 3 of his perks are incredibly useful. The super cool part about his perks is all 3 of them are not only useful to him, but to his teammates as well. On top of that, he's incredibly new player friendly. Leader gives your team 25% increased action speed when healing, sabotaging, cleansing, or opening an exit gate. This provides a lot of value for your team throughout the game. Prove Thyself makes it to where every survivor working on a generator in a 4-meter range gains a 10% repair speed bonus. This same bonus is given to all their survivors in that range. This is insane for doing gens and team play. This means if you and another survivor partner up on a gen, you guys are both getting 10% repair speed bonus. His last perk, Bond. See the auras of all allies within a 36-meter range. This will allow you to see how close your teammates are to you, who's injured, who's working on a gen, if someone is looping, if someone's sitting on the outside of the map, if you want to take a hit at endgame or even at all. Knowing where your teammates are at all times is incredibly useful and will benefit you in every single game you play, especially in solo queue. But the cool part about Dwight's perks is regardless of how new you are, you will always be a valuable asset to your team because these perks benefit your team as well. So even if you don't see a ton of value, if you're able to play a little stealthy, your team will see the value, and that's important. But on top of that, he's not only new player friendly, but experienced players can get value from Dwight too. I run leader in almost every single game, and you'd be surprised how much value it gets and how much my team thanks me for running it. And I have 6,000 hours. If you're still watching, make sure to like and subscribe, as I do plan to make more educational Dead by Daylight content in the near future and post weekly videos. Also, leave a comment on who you plan on prestiging next, and thank you so much for watching.